Is Terence Crawford in trouble? I haven't seen Terence Crawford, this kind of rattled. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I've also never seen Canelo this angry. So is Canelo more motivated for this fight than he's ever been, or at least in a long time? I feel like Canelo looks angrier than ever, and maybe on fight night this will be the opportunity for Canelo to wake up and say, I'm excited for this fight, I'm more motivated than ever, because all these other guys, they haven't been exciting fights for me. I haven't had the urge to train, kind of like a guy like Teofimo Lopez. If Teo doesn't have an opponent where it's exciting or he's counted out at least a little bit, then he underperforms. Is Canelo that same way, and will we see him destroy Terence Crawford? We'll have to wait and see. You guys know my pick is Terence Crawford, but I feel like it's a close fight. It's a close fight. I think that Canelo could win. I still, like I said, I'm sticking with my pick for Crawford. I just think he outboxes Canelo at this point in Canelo's career. I think if we're talking like 5 to 10 years ago, it's a different fight, but I think at this point Canelo has shown that his gas tank isn't what it used to be. He doesn't throw as many punches, his output is low. So I gotta favor Crawford right now, but obviously there are weight classes for a reason. So if Canelo catches Crawford with something crazy, of course that's a possibility. This is boxing, and Canelo hits very hard, and Canelo's been at 168 for a while Crawford's just debuting at 68, and he's not even, getting his feet wet at 168. He's debuting against Canelo, the king of 168. So it is crazy. It's definitely a huge risk for Terence Crawford. And like I said, Canelo looks incredibly angry for this fight. It's giving shades of Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant, when he was getting really angry. His opponents, and all the promotion would make him more mad and motivate him to put on a more killer performance. And that's what he did against guys like Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Plant. But will he be able to do that against the guy that is arguably #1 pound for pound in Terence Crawford? That's the big question, because yeah, Caleb Plant and Billy Joe Saunders, they're huge guys, and if Canelo could beat up those guys, he should be able to beat up Crawford, right? I just think that Crawford's skill set is different, and that's the reason why I really do think Crawford's gonna win this fight, because it's not like I'm a huge Crawford fan or I'm a huge Canelo fan. It's just when I look at it, I'm like, Canelo hasn't looked incredible, and maybe he's gonna be motivated. Maybe he's gonna be more motivated because people are actually picking Crawford. Some are genuinely picking Crawford, like me, but I can definitely see Canelo turning it up a notch and taking it as, I really want this guy on my resume. I really want to beat him and put him on my resume. So, maybe he's more motivated than ever. We see, some more pep in his step. We see a new and energized, rejuvenated Canelo Alvarez. That is very possible, but I'm just going off of his last performances. If we get the Canelo that fought Berlanga, if we get the Canelo that fought William Skull, I don't think that version of Canelo beats Terence Crawford. But if he really is motivated for this one and has a fire lit in him, I feel like if he goes after Crawford and lands something on Crawford, who knows? Who knows if Crawford's going to be able to take that kind of punishment, because Crawford's been hurt before, that's for sure. But if you look at it, all of the guys that he's dealt with are either high volume punchers or they have good feet that put them in positions to land good shots. The thing about Canelo is he hasn't shown his footwork to be great as of recent. He looks a little bit, not even a little bit, he looks a lot slower than he was earlier in his career. And that's why I think it's going to be hard for him to catch Terence Crawford. It's not like he's just going to walk in there and land something big. That's not how boxing is. And we know Terence Crawford's much more intelligent, and too intelligent to get caught with something that early. I feel like Canelo's really gonna have to work for it, and Canelo's traditionally a slow starter. They say he downloads information and he doesn't throw a lot of punches in the beginning of the rounds, but as of late, he hasn't thrown punches later in the rounds either. So it's like, if that's the case, I don't know how he's going to beat Terence Crawford, because I feel like Terence Crawford, his dog comes out, in the later rounds. He's the one that genuinely gets better at the end of the fight. Like, you could say Crawford and Canelo, I think it's fair to say they're both slow starters, but who's the guy that really gets these stoppage wins like constantly in the second half of all of his fights? It's been Terence Crawford until he moved up to 54, and that's where the weight class argument comes in. Because Crawford looked bad at 54, how is he going to look better at 68 against Canelo Alvarez? But I think it's all about styles. People have to remember Terence Crawford has fast feet. I'm not saying he's going to run, but I do think that Canelo's gonna have to try to keep up with Crawford in order to land that big shot. Otherwise, Crawford's gonna cruise to a decision. People are gonna say it's running, but you know, at the end of the day, Crawford doesn't have to knock out Canelo. He just has to win a boxing match. I think Canelo might have to knock out Crawford to secure a win. So we'll see what happens. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about Canelo and Crawford, and whether or not, you know, Canelo looks more angry than he's ever been, you know, more locked in than he's ever been. Let me know down below. But thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys on the next Navs boxing video. Peace.